Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're having a lovely day. I've got this hair because last night was the Strictly launch and I curled the whole hair, and this is second day curls, which I'm quite into. Today I am going to be doing a September book haul. It's not a small book haul, it's 8 books, which isn't small, but it just feels like less than I would normally show in a book haul. But I'm quite excited about all of these. I say quite, I mean a lot excited about all of these. I've got 4 that I bought, 4 that were sent to me via publishers. Let's start with the ones that I bought. So the first one is A Tiny Little Guy. This is Greta Thunberg's No One Is Too Small to Make a Difference, and it really is a tiny little guy. This is Greta Thunberg, a collection of her speeches from climate rallies across Europe to audiences at the UN. She's obviously very present in the media at the moment. She's an amazing speaker and an amazing person for such a young girl. And I would be interested to hear more of what she has to say. So in here there is a selection of speeches which I'm looking forward to getting to reading. So that will probably, there's 3 books here I think which are going to sneak into my TBR for this month. And I think this might be one of them. The next one will not be sneaking into my TBR for this month because it is a Christmas book! I've started collating the old Christmas books. This is Rover Saves Christmas. It's a children's book by Doyle. I believe I've heard this mentioned on Jean's channel, and I recently read a children's book by Doyle called Wilderness, which I really enjoyed, and I'd heard that he did this Christmas book, and I thought, well, I'll get hold of it, and I couldn't find it new, so I bought it second-hand online, and yeah, it's about Jimmy and Robbie Mack, and they're very excited about Christmas coming. It says here that they're so desperate for Christmas to come that they've left 27 sandwiches out for Santa. It says, but Rudolph's off sick and Santa's grounded the sleigh with all the presents. It's also got quite a lot of little illustrations in there and everything, so looking forward to reading that around Christmas time. It's always exciting to read new old Christmas books at Christmas time, so that one. Then this one also won't be going on my TBR for this month because this is one of the books that I've picked as a selection for my Patreon book club. So if you're in my Patreon book club, you're getting a little sneak peek of one of the books that we're going to pick. So for October, I think the theme is going to be sort of Halloween books. And this one I've picked, Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman, which I've never read, I've never seen the film, but I know it's about witches. And I thought it would be quite a good pick to go up against. And I won't say the other book it's going up against because I don't reveal that normally till sort of mid-month via my Patreon. If you are interested in joining my Patreon book club, hadn't even planned that. If you're interested in joining my Patreon book club, there's a few spaces left on the $5 book club tier. It works thusly. Mid-month I have a little check-in video where I just talk about the book that we're going to be discussing at the end of the month, and then I introduce the 2 choices for the book that we're going to be reading the next month. As I've said, in October the theme is going to be Halloween, and one of the picks is going to be Practical Magic, so I can't tell you what the other one is. And then then there's a live show at the end of the month, and we chat about it then, which is really nice, and then get excited. So yeah, if you're interested in joining that, then please do. But yeah, Practical Magic, I've never read this. It says it's a beloved classic. It also says here, one of the quotes on the back, which I feel like it summed it up and excited it for me. A delicious fantasy of witchcraft and love in a world where gardens smell of lemon verbena and happy endings are possible. I'm up for this. I feel like this is going to be a super cozy read in October, so even if this does not win the vote, I probably will still read it because I like to read creepy, I don't think this is creepy, but like this has definitely got witches, which are associated with Halloween. Done. So that can go over there on my pile of books I'm not reading this month. And then this one is one that is going to sneak onto my TBR. This is 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. I've seen this all over the place. The front cover is absolutely beautiful, and most recently I saw this mentioned on Simon's channel when he was wrapping it up, and I'd thought about buying it, and I kept thinking I want to buy it, and then the next time I saw it I was just like, I've got to have it, I've got to have it. So this is actually a non-fiction piece. I thought it was a fiction novel, but it's not. It's a non-fiction piece about 3 women, Lena, Maggie and Sloane, and basically their lives and sort of their relationships that they're in and the sexual encounters they have and everything. It says it's a record of unmet needs, unspoken thoughts, disappointments, hopes and unrelenting obsessions, and it just sounds like it's going to be amazing. So that is definitely sneaking onto my TBR for this month, so there we go. And then the next books are all books that I've been sent by the publisher. This one is already on my TBR, so you would have seen this in my September TBR, and this is Sex, Power, Money Sex, Power, Money by Sarah Pascoe. I listened to Sarah Pascoe's podcast Sex, Power, Money, and I didn't realise that the podcast was there to accompany the book. It's a podcast about sex, power and money, and they've had really great guests on. So they've had sex workers on, they've had Hayley Rubenhold, who wrote the book The Five, which is about the 5 victims of Jack the Ripper and sort of like their associations with being prostitutes and sex workers, even though all 5 of them weren't necessarily prostitutes or sex workers. And yeah, I just find her really, her interviewing style really, really exciting, and she gets such good results out of the people she's talking to, and she asks the questions that I would be interested in. And then more recently I've seen her on the Waterstones channel, where she was talking to Will on there about the different sections of this book: sex, power and money. And yeah, I just feel like it's going to be a really, really interesting look into sort of like gender. It sums it up quite well here. So it says, why don't people care about welfare of the people they masturbate to, and why is there no stigma around those who work in the sex industry when some women still want men to buy their dinner? So yeah, I just find I'm looking forward to I've enjoyed the podcast such a lot that I'm looking forward to reading the accompanying book. The next one I've so that was sent to me by Faber, and then I've got this one that was, so when I contacted Faber, the publicist also said that I would really enjoy this, which is called Your House Will Pay, which I didn't know anything about this. This is by Steph Char, and it's not out until January 2020, and this is her first book that it's her UK debut, and this is set in the 90s in LA, and it follows the riots which are tearing the city apart. In this dangerous tinderbox, the fate of 2 families become linked forever. After decades of loss and injustice, tensions between the Parks and the Matthews come to head and force a reckoning that could clear the air or lead to more violence. I've read the first page of it, and it sounds like it's going to be very, very moving, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I will probably get round to reading that early next year, but yeah, not out until 2020, but exciting. And also love this green so much. Green and pink, or like coral, whatever that is, they're 2 of my favourite colours to put together. So lovely. The next one is also one from Faber. This is actually the one I contacted to ask about, and this is Edna O'Brien's Girl. Now, I've never read anything by Edna O'Brien, again going with this lovely green and coral or orange colour, and I thought it was about time that I resolved that, and this is a new book out. Now, this sounds really, really like there's a lot going on in here, and like not fun stuff either. So I will read you the blurb about it. It says, captured, abducted and married into Boko Haram, the narrator of this story witnesses and suffers the horrors of a community of men governed by a brutal code of violence. Barely more than a girl herself, she must soon learn how to survive as a woman with a child of her own. Just as the world around her seems entirely consumed by madness, bound from hell, she is offered an escape of sorts, but only into another landscape of trials and terrors amidst the unforgiving wilds of northeastern Nigeria, through the forest and beyond, a place where her traumas are met with the blinkered judgment of society in denial. Whoa! So yeah, so I am looking forward to getting to read that, and also reading some Edna O'Brien for the first time. And the last book has been sent to me by lovely Emma at Book Break, and this is published by Bluebird Books. This is Diary of a Lone Twin, a memoir by David Loftus. Now, David Loftus I'm aware of is, let me see if I can find a picture of him more recently. I don't think I can. Oh yeah, this is him here. David Loftus is somebody I follow on Instagram, and I was made aware of him because he does the photography for Jamie Oliver's cookbook. Jamie Oliver is if you've watched this channel before, you'll know how fond I am of Jamie Oliver. I'm very much really love him and his cookbooks and everything like that. And David Loftus does the photography for that. So I started following him on Instagram, and he not only does food photography, he does photography for everything, and like beautiful, beautiful photography. And when I saw this book was coming out, I was so excited to read it. So this is a memoir of David Loftus. His twin died 30 years ago, and you follow a year in his life where he is trying to sort of come to terms with or revisit the death of his twin, and what it's like to be born a twin and to live for many years with your twin, and then all of a sudden become what he describes as a singleton. I think he describes it as, yeah, so the first since conception and cellular division, a singleton. And he writes a memoir or a diary entry every single day, sort of interspersed with these, oh, I'm losing the thing, interspersed with these pictures of him and his twin, and what it's like to sort of come to terms with that. So yeah, it sounds like it's going to be really, really important. I've been really hyped for this. As soon as I saw it was coming out, I sort of saw it pop up on Instagram at some point, and then didn't realise who was publishing it or anything like that. And then when I saw that it was Bluebird, I was delighted, and I've contacted them to send them a copy of to me. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be a tough read, but I feel like it's going to be an incredible look into sort of grief and what it's like to rebuild your life, really, from being a twin to having that bond, and then all of a sudden being alone with that. So yeah, this I think is going to be amazing, and I'm very much looking forward to reading it. So those are the books that I've hauled so far in September. We're quite early days in September, I believe. Yes, this is the first weekend in September. So those are the first books that I've got my hands on in September. There may well be another haul by the end of the month, who knows. But I thought I would just check in with these ones because I thought they had some very interesting themes and good things to talk about. Let me know what books you have picked up recently. Let me know if you're interested to read any of these guys. Oh goodness me, I'm just not very good at holding books. They're just so heavy for me. And I will see you all again soon for another book tube video. Goodbye!